Welcome to my latest project. We're going to call this one 5 rush signs. I've got a customer that needs a lot of signs made, but she needs these first 5 in a hurry. We're going to knock these out just as quick as we can and help her reach her deadline. We're going to do these the way I was taught a long time ago. We're going to use a palm router. We're going to freehand carve these. And you know, sawdust makes me happy. Stick around. I'll show you how we're going to do these when we come right back. All right, welcome back. Yes, I'm outside sanding. Yes, I'm wearing a mask. This is allergy season for me, and cedar is one of my biggest allergens. So even outside, I take precautions for it. All right, we're going to be sanding with the DWE 6401 DS disc sander. This is not a random orbital sander. You cannot lay this thing flat down on your board like you can a random orbital sander. You have to work on the edges of your sanding pad. That's exaggerated. You don't have to work on that steep of an angle, but you got to be up a little bit. You can't be flat. So I'm going to go ahead and sand this one side down and show you what I've got to do with it. I've got 4 boards to do total. I'm not going to bore you with all of them, but this will give you an idea how I prep it. What I want to do is I want to get this board sanded, and I'm starting with 180 grit sandpaper, and I want to actually take it up to 220 grit because I'm going to adhere stencils to this for my layout purposes. And you'll see how we're going to do that when we get into that process. But at 220 grit, the stencil adheres to the board very, very well. And that's what I need for it to do, because I'll actually be carving while the stencil is still on the board. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and get to sanding on this. And these are kind of rough boards, but they're going to clean up real nice. So stick around. Here we go. All right, I guess my anti-slip mats need cleaning or replacing, one of the two. I've been using them for years. Anyway, this gives you an idea of what I've got to do with the random orbital sander. And really, there was no downward force applied with the sander. If you notice a couple of times in the video, maybe you could, maybe you couldn't see it. But anyway, basically, I was just holding the sander and letting the weight of the sander provide the force downward that I needed for it. It's an aggressive sander. I really love it. It's a beast of a tool, and I really recommend that over any kind of belt sanders. Anyway, I'm going to continue on, and I'll do the other side, and I'll do the other 3 boards as well off camera. So when I come back, I will have created the stencils, and we'll have those ready to apply and continue on with the carving. Now, I'm not going to video creating the stencils. I use a Cricut Maker, and there's just tons of videos out there on creating stencils with the Cricut Maker, so I'm not going to duplicate that process. It's straightforward. You can find processes of how to do that on YouTube all over the place. So anyway, so when we come back, we will be working with the stencils and getting actually started into the carving. So hang on, we'll be right back. Well, welcome back. We've got all the boards sanded. Got them all the way up to 220, so I've got them where I want. So now what we're going to do is we're going to find the center line of the board running horizontal. And one of the easiest ways to find the center of something without having to measure is to just take a straight edge and go from one corner here to one corner here. As long as you stay on the same side, find a number easily divisible by 2. In this case, I'm going to use 10. So at 5, I'll just put a mark right there. And I'll come down here, way down here. And I'll do it again at 5. We've got our marks. Then we take our longer board And this is just a layout center, so I can find the center of the board when I lay out the stencils on them. It'll make a lot of sense to you here in just a second. So all I'm wanting to do is just put a center line down that board. Well, it would help if my pencil had lead sticking out. Kind of hard to mark when you don't have a lead sticking out. So now we'll try it again. Here we go. That's better. I got a line now. So now I'll just continue that line right on down this way. That gives me center line full length of the board. So now what I have is a batch of stencils, and what I want to do is I'm going to lay these out, and I kind of want to try to find just about where the center line is on each of those stencils and get them laid down. And I've got some knots there, so I'll tell you what, we're going to exchange that. We're going to move this one back up here. We'll just kind of guesstimate the center line there. Get right along in through there. So we'll probably put that one right there. And probably put this one, it's a good board right here. So we'll probably put this one in the middle right down here. Okay. So then let me look and see if I've got another smaller stencil that I can make use of there in the center. What I'm trying to do is to avoid these knots if at all possible. And I don't know, because I have to have some extra room over here. So I really think I'm going to use another board for these other 3 stencils that I have to lay out. I've got 4 boards prepared, so just in case I couldn't make them work, and that's the situation here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel and stick these stencils right down on the board just like they are right here. And what that's going to allow me to do when it's all said and done is I will be able to carve right through the stencil, and then that's going to allow me to have some beautifully sharp, crisp lines. And this is just to help keep me in line temporarily. So now we will pick it up, and on the back of the stencil there is a backer that I need to get out of the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold that over in half, and then I'm going to let this lay right back down. Again, I want to get this about center of the board. That's about where I want it, right there. Okay. So now I can go ahead and pull this up, and then what this can allow me to do is to reach underneath here, grab the part that I, where is my squeegee? There it is. Let me get my squeegee. Gotta have a squeegee. So this is going to allow me to get this all down where I want it. Make sure it's stuck good and tight to the board. And again, that's the reason why we took it down to 220 grit. Okay. So we'll keep right on going with it. Okay, all right, so now we got that one down good and tight, and we will squeegee it some more just to make sure it's down good. Now what I'm going to do is I need to draw me a line because I accidentally cut part of my stencil away. What I need to do is to draw me a line I can use as a guide. Right here. Okay. And then I'll draw that line up right here. Okay. Yep. No wonder my pencil wasn't working. I'm about out of the lead on that one. So I'll draw that line right there. And then I've got my line. You can't see it, but I can see it real well. I've got my line drawn right there. So that gives me my markings, because I have to cut inside here. So that gives me my markings that I need to do that. So the next thing I want to do, again, like I said, I'm gonna make sure this is squeegee down real good again. Let me get my pick tool. And the next thing I want to do is I want to pull up the transfer tape. And I want to leave that blue stencil right there. And you got to make sure that it's stuck down good. And that's part of the problem when you're working with wood. Sometimes it doesn't really want to stick that well. So let me look at something right quick, see if I got something else to help with that. No, I'm gonna do it this way, just where I've got. So I'll just work it. It'll work out. It will work out. All right, now we got that corner down. That's what we wanted. So now, all right. Alright, when you're doing something like this stencil here on wood, or even these stencils when you're pulling them down anywhere, you need to keep the transfer tape as flat down on the surface as you can. It keeps from pulling up the stencil. Okay, so now we got to slow down because we're coming to the center of those E's. We need to make sure that those stay down. See, it wants to roll up. So we'll just roll that right back down. Get it down there. Okay. All right. Stencil's still stuck good. We'll do the same thing when we get to the G. Okay, both of those stayed down. That was good. Love the sound of trains in the background. Our city was a no horn zone for 13 years, and the rules changed, so they had to do some recomplying with the rules so we can be a horn free again. But I kind of miss the sound of the horns of the trains. All right, so that is it. So the next thing we'll do is we'll just make sure everything is stuck down good, and that we have a nice adhering stencil. So I'm not going to bore you with doing the rest of them, but that's how we're going to get all this done. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up video number 1 with this. When I come back in video number 2, I will have all the stencils down, and then we'll go into the carving. So we'll start right back up with the carving when we come back. So this will be a wrap for video number 1 of 5 rush signs. So hang on. When we come back, we'll pick back up. So until then, please hug all your family and friends. Let them know you love them. And God bless.